Emotional intelligence isn't just about feelings, it's the key to understanding ourselves, connecting with others, and working better in today's corporate world. Let's gain deeper insight from Sri Ananta Bhagavan Das Prabhuji and discover how this divine wisdom can transform our inner world, relationships, and professional life. So, Prabhuji, I see many individuals working life, their personal life or their relationships sometimes are affected by emotions. So, what do you think? Why emotions play such an important role in our life?
Yeah, emotions do play a very important role. In fact, it is said that more than 95, there is one research, one psychologist, eminent psychologist, Antonio Damasio. He made a research. He said that 95% of the decisions which we make are based on emotions. It is simply based upon the emotional biases which we have. I'll give a simple example. Imagine you're making an investment in a real estate. Surely you look at logistics, you look at what gives you more profit and all that. But while looking at all these things, the most important thing which we may probably look at is the seller who is offering such and such property, is he trustworthy or not? So these things play a very important role. So emotional bias plays a very important role, from which we can understand that more than, and this is what research also says, that more than 95% of the people, the decisions which they may think that they are doing based upon logic, but actually they are doing based upon their emotions.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we always hear a term in our daily life, the emotional intelligence. So, Prabhuji, can you define the emotional intelligence for our viewers from both the spiritual perspective and also from the practical perspective?
Emotional intelligence is about identifying our emotions, accepting our emotions, and harnessing our emotions in such a way that they can give maximum benefit to us and to others also. I'll give an example. There's a famous parable, good dogs and bad dogs parable. In our heart, there are good dogs also, there are bad dogs also. There are good emotions also, bad emotions also.
Absolutely.
Courage, good emotion. Humility, good emotion. Patience, gratitude, good emotions. Jealousy, envy, anger, resentment, bitter, these are all bad emotions. So the parable says that we feed good emotions and we starve bad emotions. So first job is to identify good and bad emotions and then accept them and then harnessing them.
Prabhuji, so in corporate world, everyone is working under pressure. So, in this aspect, why the emotional intelligence is play a crucial role?
Yeah, it's not that everyone is working under pressure, but yes, there is a lot of pressure. There are targets, there are deadlines,
Surely.
there is cutthroat competition. The very words are threatening. Deadlines, cutthroat competition. So because of which sometimes there is pressure. So therefore it's important to look at our emotions. It is imperative to keep looking at our emotions, keep self-reflecting ourselves, and see which direction we are going. Otherwise, what could happen is that today there is pressure. If we do not take care of it, it will turn into loneliness. If we do not take care of it, it may turn into guilt or inferiority complex. If we do not take care of it, it may turn into depression, which could become irreparable. And if we do not take care of it, it may go to suicide also. And that's happening sometimes in some cases. So there are so many mental health problems. In UK they have started a department of loneliness, ministry for loneliness, because they felt that it is very important ministry. So in this way, so even the governments are recognizing the importance of taking care of mental health of people and emotions of people. And if it is not taken care of, if it is not properly addressed at right time, it can deteriorate and it can create a lot of problems for the society as a whole. So therefore, it's important that we address these problems.
Absolutely. And Prabhuji, when it comes to leadership and make a healthy corporate culture, so how in this case our emotional intelligence help us?
Yeah, it's all the more important for leaders because there are people who are working with leaders, and they have to understand the dynamics of how people express themselves and how people do not express themselves and how people go through different emotions. I'll give an example.
Sure.
Recently it's happened. It has come in newspaper as well. There is one company, OK Credit. The CEO of whom is Harsh Pokrana. You can Google, you can find it immediately. So Harsh Pokrana, so his company was going through some problem or whatever. So and he had to take a decision that 70 of his strength, 70 people from his company uh, he has to tell them to leave the company, and it's a very hard decision for him. So he was thinking how to address it. So then what did he do? He called everyone and he said that this is what we are going to do, and 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 then he said, so I'm giving you 3 months notice period to all 70 of you, and then after that what he has done is interesting. He said he called each and every person because he has to relieve them for sure. He called each and every person, and then he took their profile and ensured that they get placed in different. He himself made references and all that, ensured that they get placed in a proper situation like that. And believe me, 66 of the 70 people have got placed within 3 months. Peacefully, they have got settled down. Remaining four, he has extended the notice period as well. So in this way, the leadership, because such kind of culture, it encourages many other people to come and contribute. It encourages people to be a part of such a culture. So, and it's a trust building culture. So it's all the more important for leaders to build such a culture within their companies, within their organizations, and a healthy work environment, so that people, and this is how people contribute.
Prabhuji, can you please guide us how a person, like how I can analyze and check my emotional intelligence?
One of the best ways to assess our intelligence, emotional intelligence, is through self-reflection. Journaling is one of the good ways. Uh, so we have to regularly become aware of our emotions and try to identify our emotions. Uh, I'll give an example to illustrate it. One of my friends, he has gone through this situation. So he was on a road, and all of a sudden a bike was coming, and the bike was coming at a 70 80 kilometer speed, something like that. And all of a sudden, and he thought, he's gone, and he tried to move here and there, but he was fearful that if I move here and there, it may hit me or something like that. And then while he was thinking, somehow or other the bike, he had a narrow escape from the bike. So in such a situation, and after the bike had gone, and he was terrified. It was a terrifying experience, and then he went ahead. But then after some time, he sat down, and he was thinking about the whole experience, the whole situation which he went through, and he was trying to analyze it. So, and he was rationalizing and analyzing about what emotions I was going through. Now, one thing which he can easily do is immediately go ahead with his activities. By going ahead with his activities, the pain which he had gone through, it will perpetuate throughout the day or throughout the week or whatever. Or it may so happen that learning experience which he had during the whole incident, he may just forget it. But then he chose to sit down and try to see what emotions he had gone through and how he has settled down, and what he has to learn, and and he composed himself very fast, and he understood that that uh, I'm different from this pain, and I'm different from this whole experience. So like that. So he has gone through this whole experience in this way. So so it involves self-reflection, and self-reflection is one of the best ways by which you can to begin with, and then it goes ahead.
Yes, absolutely, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, as from a HR perspective, how a company can identify that the person is emotionally intelligent, or they spot a person that this guy should be emotionally intelligent, and they can build a team using that person.
Yes, yes. There are some EQ tests. We can go through those EQ tests. We can also ask questions like, have you gone through any conflict within your team or within your company during which, and how have you responded to such a conflict? Have you gone through any situation which is stressful situation, and how have you responded to such a situation? So such questions can also be asked, and the and the and while interviewing or while going through the process of recruitment, they can try to find out if how they have responded to such particular situations like that.
Yes.
Yes. And Prabhuji, any person, what are the spiritual practice and the practical practice a person can do to become an emotionally intelligent person?
As I was saying, self-reflection, it involves journaling. Journaling is a very good practice.
Yes.
Freehand journaling. So just writing down as to what emotions one is going through, or what one is going through that particular day or particular week or whatsoever, and that is one good practice. And prayer is one very good practice. Prayer gives us the strength to identify our emotions. Prayer gives us the strength to accept our emotions. Prayer gives us the strength to harness our emotions. And one another good practice is to have good friends,
Yes.
who are who know us and who accept us. These are some of the good practices.
Prabhuji, you conduct many programs on this emotional intelligence. So how these programs are different from the any corporate workshop?
Yeah, we take teachings of Bhagavad Gita. We try to apply the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. One important aspect is that in order to handle our emotions, we need strength. And strength we get from spiritual practices. Strength we get from prayer. Strength we get from meditation, mantra meditation. Strength we get from good association. Strength we get from uh, Vedic scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and others. So, so when we want to accept our emotions, we need strength, because we have a inherent denial of we inherently try to deny our emotions. In order to accept our emotions, we need strength. In order to harness our emotions, we need strength. So, so that such a kind of strength is needed. So our workshops, they have these spiritual components involved.
Okay.
Prabhuji, when someone deal with some emotional stress like anger, jealous, or any office politics, so basically sometimes the person basically forcefully control their emotion, but I think that is not the correct way to control their emotions. So what is your point of view on this?
There is suppression and sublimation. Mm, Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, what can repression accomplish? So suppression is not good.
Yes.
So if someone is trying to suppression, it's like a pressure cooker.
Exactly.
The pressure keeps building up, building up, building up, and then it blows. If we don't take care of it, if we don't take care of it, it will blow up. So suppression is very risky. So like we were explaining earlier, what starts with loneliness may turn into depression. It may turn into inferiority complex. It may turn into depression, or it may go worse and come to a suicide or something like that.
Yes.
So that is not. But sublimation, the process of sublimation involves that we accept our problems, accept those emotions, negative emotions, and then organize within our intelligence as to if such and such emotion comes within my heart, then how do I address it? If such and such emotion comes within my heart, how do I address it? So such kind of organized, like for example, if you enter this room, if it is this whole room is, let us say, it's a whole huge mess, and then all of a sudden some fire happens, then you don't know what to do. But if it's nicely organized, and if some problem happens, there's a crack or there's a fire or something like that, immediately you'll pick up fire extinguisher, extinguish the fire. So it's, you know how to address the problem. So similarly, intelligence also. If it's organized properly, then we can, using our intelligence, we can address the problems.
Absolutely. Prabhuji, when we are working in a team, sometimes there are miscommunication and sometimes there are many conflicts are happening. So in your experience, how basically the emotional intelligence help a person to make a better communication, a good trust building, and also resolve the conflicts? If you share with
Yeah,
us.
yeah. So in teams, as we were discussing, we need trust to work within teams. We need psychological safety to work within teams. These are some of the, there are many other important factors, as you were rightly mentioning, communication and others. These are some of the important factors which helps team building.
Yes.
Now, uh, understanding emotions gives us an impetus by which we can help build teams properly. We can help build teams properly. Like, I'll give you an example. I'll give you how it works.
Yes.
Like one aspect while dealing with team members is confidentiality.
Okay.
So sometimes some of the team members may have some shortcomings which they may want to reveal, or and that is affecting their work or things like that. So, and they reveal, and if it is not kept confidential, that then it creates it creates mistrust.
Yes.
Similarly, not putting down others, not being judgmental. If someone is revealing something, and if you are trying to be judgmental, or if we are exploiting their shortcomings, we want to exploit their shortcomings, then it creates a lot of mistrust.
Absolutely.
And if we do not deal with it affectionately, then it creates a lot of mistrust. So this so we need an environment in teams by which we can come together and help build teams effectively, and that can happen when there is an environment which is based upon trust and which is based upon psychological safety.
Okay.
So that's how emotional intelligence, understanding emotions, helps the team members to help build teams properly.
Absolutely. Prabhuji, can you share some teachings from Bhagavad Gita that a person can implement in their daily life so to become an emotionally intelligent person?
Krishna speaks in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmanajita anatmanastu satrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat, which means that the mind, it can be one's own friend or it can be one's own enemy, depending upon how we deal with it. So Bhagavad Gita is a direct teaching as to how to deal with the mind, and mind has the potential to become our friend. It has the potential to become our enemy. Even in Bhagavad Gita, you can see in the battlefield what has happened. When Arjuna was facing Drona, and he was facing Bhishma, and he was in turmoil because he has a dharma to perform, he has a duty to perform, and on the other hand, there are his own superiors. Bhishma is there, Drona is there, and all of them are there. So, and he is overcome by emotions because he was remembering his childhood, how he dealt with Bhishma, how he dealt with his teacher, how he dealt with his grandfather, how he dealt with his brothers, and all that. So, and he was thoroughly overwhelmed by the emotions to the extent that he was on the battlefield, and the Gandiva was slipping from his hands. Imagine if you go to examination hall and pen is slipping from your hands, then what examination can you write? Something like that.
Absolutely.
So Krishna had to deal with his emotions. So Krishna said, okay. So Krishna then he counseled him, and finally Arjuna took up his duty. So so Bhagavad Gita, the battlefield is a good place. We can see that how Arjuna's emotions were handled by Krishna himself, and Arjuna, eventually Arjuna himself could handle his emotions. And there are teachings in Bhagavad Gita, the verse which we were referring to, which says how this mind, it can be friend. It can be friend if we harness the emotions properly. It can be enemy. We were discussing about the good and old dogs parable. So if the bad dogs, they keep barking louder and louder, the more they keep barking louder and the louder, the emotions may overwhelm us. The good dogs, they bark louder and louder. The emotions will be harnessed and they can be used in a way that the best can come out of us.
Prabhuji, sometimes we see that our emotions sometimes shape our outcomes and our decisions also. So how a person can identify that their emotions basically hijacking their decision making?
Yeah, psychologists also say that there are two parts of a brain. One is the one which deals with emotions, and the one deals with intelligence. So whenever we take decisions, both are playing their part. If only emotions play a part, that may not be fully helpful. If only intelligence play a part, then also it may affect our decisions. But both play a part. So if when emotions totally hijack a person, sometimes it so happens that our emotions, they take us on a ride, and intelligence is totally hijacked. That happens when we are quite overwhelmed by emotions. So therefore, it's important that we give the time to identify our emotions and become aware of our emotions regularly. So if we do not give the time, then it's very difficult to know whether we are being hijacked by our emotions or not. So it's essential to give that time and slow down in a way so that we can know where how our emotions are performing, and whether we are being hijacked by our emotions or whether we are taking rational decisions based upon our emotions.
Absolutely. But sometimes I see many high skilled person and very intelligent person are sometimes struggling to manage their relationships and to manage their work culture also. So what is your point of view on this?
Yeah, because they don't slow down. They don't give that time to accept themselves. Acceptance is, it requires great courage and humility to accept oneself. It requires great courage and humility to identify one's own shortcomings, identify one's own strengths, weaknesses, skills, and requires humility and courage to accept them, and then eventually harness the best out of it. So 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 one needs to give the time and energy.
Absolutely.
Sometimes in this busy world, we are so caught up in targets and making profits and all this. So we don't give the time and energy. So once if we give the time and energy and with the proper guidance, then we can bring the best out of our shortcomings and strengths both.
Prabhuji, we see sometimes our ego basically destroying our emotional clarity. So how a person overcome it?
Yeah, overconfidence or pride, it has a tremendous effect on emotions. So so therefore we need friends within our life, and we need a higher internal connection which can keep us grounded. A higher internal connection, if we are yielding ourselves with God, then we can understand that how we are a part and parcel of God, and we are assisting in His mission. And then if we have good friends within our life, then they tell what is good for us, what is bad for us, what are our strengths and weaknesses, and we can give appropriate suggestions at appropriate time. So one of the best ways to address ego and overconfidence is to have good friends and have an internal connection with God.
Prabhuji, sometimes in our workplace there are many conflicts are happening and there is many miscommunication are also happening there. So how this emotional intelligence influence ability of person to move on from that situation or to forgive the person, especially in workplace.
So it requires great courage to be able to forgive, and it requires great strength to forgive and forget. But that's very important, because more than the person whom we the person who does mistake, he is surely having a problem. The person who is not forgiving is carrying that fire within his heart, and that burns us from within. So it's important for our own sake to forgive and forget.
Yes. Prabhuji, when there is sad events happening in our life, it's a human tendency. We go to social media and watching motivational videos. Sometimes the videos and workshop also suggest that be emotionally detached, be unbothered, also distance and being cold. Is this the strategy or part of emotional intelligence?
We have, as we were discussing, we have both positive emotions and negative emotions. So when we go through some tragedy or something like that, it's natural that negative emotions come out. So so it's good to accept those emotions in the sense that we may not indulge in them, we may not become overwhelmed by them, but we have to spend that time to accept them. At the same time, we also have to harness our positive emotions. If we try to make ourselves busy and try to numb the negative emotions, that the negative emotions are there, they may come up in a sporadic way at some later time or something like that. So a better strategy is to try to focus on positive, is to continue focusing on positive emotions while also accepting uh, the negative, accepting the reality that we are going through a negative phase, if we are going through a tragic phase, and accepting the reality that I have to address this. That's a good way to address it.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Sir, it's a wonderful conversation with you. We learned a lot from you about how to control our emotions and all about the emotional intelligence. And I think our viewers are also, if they follow up on this, they can also see the changes in their life. So, sir, many, many thanks for your precious time. Hare Krishna,
I'm
Prabhuji.
thankful to be here.